Hi guys, last time we spoke about safety underground and the equipment that we need to wear when going underground. Today we are going to expand a bit more and see what rules are required for you to go and proceed underground. These PPE, personal protective equipment, we discussed that they are a requirement for people going underground to wear so that they are not injured or their injuries are minimized because PPE protects your personal body. Remember, we said that PPE is mainly these 7 items: hard hat, overalls, gumboots, gloves, cap lamp, safety chain, goggles. Those are essential for someone going underground. So if you are going underground, just make sure that you have got a minimum of that equipment. Some don't wear goggles, but in some cases, these can be provided for those who can, but the rest you cannot do without. If you are going to work in an area where there's splashes and things like that, you have to wear gloves and goggles. If you're going to work in an area where there are splinters or splashes or any flying fragments of rock, you need goggles. Especially if you're going to drill or you're going to work somewhere where there's mud and splashes, you need goggles. Otherwise, all of these are essential. Hard hat to protect your head, overalls to protect your main body, because you can scratch your arm or hand against the sidewall. The sidewall is all rock. Remember, you are inside a rock, an excavation of rock ground. So it's not like in a house. And the walls are not far away from where you walk. So you can scratch against the sidewalls or knock or bump your head against the hanging wall. We call the roof the hanging wall and the bottom the foot wall. So injuries are very common. If you don't wear your hat, for an instance, you can examine it when you're walking underground wearing a helmet. You can hear several times when you're knocking against the head that you are being protected. You can feel it. And the head is designed such that it protects you from actually feeling the impact of the head knocking against it's got a liner inside which prevents the head knocking also against your head. So the liner holds the head to make sure that any impact is minimized, I think, from damaging or from injuring your head. This is very important. Those 7 items are important for anyone going underground to wear: hard hat, overalls, gumboots, gloves, cap lamp, safety chain, and goggles. Cap lamp is one essential item that you need because you need to wear and see where you are going. It is always worn on the hard hat. The hard hat is specially designed with a bracket to clip on the cap lamp so that you can shine ahead of you so you can see anything in front of you. If you turn your head, it also goes with your head. Wherever you turn, your eyes follow the light. So a cap lamp is very essential. Gloves. The nature of a broken rock is such that it is rough and abrasive. So you cannot handle rock by hand. Even if you are sometimes handling equipment on the ground, you have to protect your hands. if you're going to shovel or you're going to break a rock with a hammer, you still have to protect your hands. And when you're breaking a rock with a hammer, there are splinters of rock that might come into your eyes. That's where the goggles become handy. So we see that the list is very essential for anyone going underground to wear. So please, when you're going underground, think of this. And this is just a reminder. In my previous video, I said we're going to discuss this because today our main aim is to talk about safety rules. Safety rules at work. Before you even start work, there are safety rules that you need to follow to protect yourself, to make sure that you don't have any dangerous situation. You don't cause hazards to anyone. Like any other place, any workplace has got rules, especially for the safety of workers and the other people that find themselves in the area. So safety rules are very important for anyone at work. Safety rules at work. These are some of the rules that we're going to learn about today, following the PPE that we spoke about earlier. Safety rules in mines normally are the simplest way of teaching people to make sure that they stay safe or they practice safety at work. And there are normally 5 rules that make sure that you follow the procedures very effectively. And these have worked very well for so many. If you follow these, you'll always be ahead of time and you prevent any accidents. I'm not saying they don't happen, but you actually prevent. Prevention, accident prevention is the major thing that we are talking about here, because you cannot walk into a crocodile's mouth when you can see the crocodile. Going down the mine is like going into a unknown world. It is an unknown world. You don't know what you're going to meet down there. There are many dangers. So there are safety rules, and in mines they use what they call a 5-point plan. 5-point plan has got 5 simple rules that you need to follow. And these are as follows. The first one is check entrance to workplace. Any entrance to your workplace, that's a door. In the case of a mine, there's a shaft or winds going down. You need to check the area that there's nothing that is going to harm you when you're going down. You check that the entrance is secure. A shaft is usually made with a collar set. The collar set is secure, there's no danger, there's no breakages, and the side door are still secure. And if you are going to go with a skip or cage, the driver has to operate the cage before anyone gets in, drives down to the lowest point and brings it up to make sure that there's nothing in the way. The entrance is safe. When it goes down and comes up without any incident, then you know it's safe. So that is checking your entrance to workplace. Even if you work in a hospital, I think you need to check where you're going through. You need to check your entrance. But it's more important, more valid for miners to make sure that the entrance is checked, because anything can happen. The ground might have subsided and the shaft collar is damaged such that when you enter and it collapses on you, that is dangerous. The next one is check workplace and equipment. If you have checked your entrance and you go down, you walk to your working phase. It's called a working phase, an advancing phase where you work, or working place. You check that the workplace itself is safe. The hanging is secure, because any loose rope that crack and fall might injure you. And the equipment that is there is safe for you to use. Should be safe for everyone working in that area. So every worker must have an eye to see that everything is in order. Everything that they are going to use, every equipment they are going to use is safe. And the workplace itself is safe before they start working. The third point is check if proper procedure followed by all workers. That means, are the people in that working place, including yourself, are you working properly? Are you doing the right thing? Are you following the right procedure to make sure you don't injure each other, you don't get injured, or any one of you is injured or is endangered or is exposed to any form of danger? So that is supposed to be done by each and every one of you. Check if proper procedure is followed. That is working your working place procedure, working procedure, how you work every day. Are you using the equipment properly? Are you doing the right thing? Are you in a safe place? Then there's a fourth one. Do an act of safety. Doing an act of safety is like actually making sure that your working place is safe. That means you can check by examining the walls, because sometimes the walls can be loose, rock hanging, only to fall when you start working. So you've got to make sure that it is secure. We usually use a pinch bar to knock, or hammer to knock the sidewalls to make sure that it is secure. The pinch bar is a safe bar, metal bar that you use from a distance. It's usually about 1.5 feet, 1.5 meters, which is 5 feet, for you to bar down any loose rocks that are likely to fall and injure you. So doing an act of safety is like when you see that something is wrong, you correct it that moment. Make sure that you still continue to work safely. Then the last thing is you need to examine the area that can and will the workers remain safe until work is completed. Will you continue to work in a safe environment throughout your shift? Are you going to continue working safely? Are the conditions going to allow you to work safely, continuously, until you finish what you're supposed to do? That is an examination. It's a risk assessment that you need to do. Make sure that everything is still okay. So these 5 points keep you alert to make sure that you are always checking, because you never know what can happen. So you have to be certainly sure that you have checked and made sure that you are working under a solid rock hanging wall, which is your roof. It's not a roof really, it's a hanging wall, because it's the same rock. You only have cut out a hole in the rock, and you'll be standing in that hole like a cave. But that cave actually proceeds going longer as you follow the reef, or you're going to mine to a point where you want to reach. So every inch of the way to your working place has got to be examined. So every day, any worker who goes in, they must be examining. The reason is that when working underground, for you to work, you drill and blast rock. That drilling and blasting causes some cracks in the rock surrounding it, and that can loosen some of the rocks that you didn't really want to fall, so you don't know. So the next thing is, after a blast, the next crew that comes in to move that broken rock has to make sure that it's all safe before they start moving the rock, the broken ore or broken rock. So the procedure is always to be alert. So those 5 points are called 5-point plan. That's checking the entrance, checking the place of work, doing an act of safety, then check all procedures being done properly, and also making sure that the place is safe continuously until work is finished. Many accidents have claimed lives underground. We'll talk about the procedure of how to use things like safety chains and how to work in certain areas later in the next videos. So I'm sure this time you have learned a bit about this. If you have any questions, please remember to put them down in the comment section so that I can answer them. And make sure you go through this video and over and over again so that you are acquainted to this procedure before you go underground. We still have a lot to learn about the procedure of going underground. How do you go underground? You need a hoist, a ladder way. In other words, you cannot go underground without means of a ladder way or a hoist, because it is down the hole, and going down a hole, you cannot jump in and come out. Once you are in there, you still have to come out safely. If the hoist breaks down, you have to have the means to still find your way out. So the ladder way is the safest way to use underground to save yourself. Running for life, you don't run, you actually climb for life, because you'll be climbing from underground to surface, because underground all the workings are below the surface of the ground. And remember, there are other dangers besides just the rock. Your oxygen is diminished, like I said before. As you're working, you breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. So any air that comes in is used up as you are working. It has to be replaced. When the mine is still shallow, sometimes the atmospheric pressure can push sufficient air to those levels, but they cannot push further to the lower levels. That is where artificial means have to be introduced, by introducing mechanical, electric fans, and so on. So there's a lot to learn before you go underground. I hope this has been an insight for those who would like to work underground, so that whenever you want to go underground, you'll have to consider what we have spoken about, and you'll find it a bit more courageous for you to work underground if you are equipped with all this knowledge. It's very important for you to learn this. I'm sorry that I've had so many injuries or accidents about artisanal miners being trapped underground, and some having been unable to come out from the ground, being trapped, and due to rainwater or so on. There's so many things that can be happening underground, because when you excavate the ground, you're creating the lowest point where water flows into. So if you don't take care, all the water surrounding that area will flow into that hole. And if it so happens to rain while you're down there, you can be trapped. The water will flow down there and trap you there, and you will drown. So it is important to know what procedures are required to prevent you from getting trapped underground. The first thing is to make sure that when you're going down, you make sure there is a hoist, a proper hoist, or a proper ladderway. We will talk about that in the next few videos that are going to come. Thank you for watching. Just remember to subscribe and click that bell so that you don't miss any of these videos. Thank you for watching. I am Baba Kobi.